In 2025, gold has had its moment, silver has had its run, and the big question heading into 2026 is copper about to take over and become the trade of the year? Copper prices are pushing higher, and we're seeing copper stocks on the ASX begin to respond. That's why tonight we have cut through this sector to give you 3 ASX copper stocks that are starting to stand out right now. With decades of experience analysing markets and trusted market commentary by major media outlets, we are the brains trust behind Australia's leading government-accredited share trading education. Timing is everything right now, so stick with us, because if copper does continue to gain traction, these stocks could provide the best opportunity for 2026. I'm Philip Fortescue, joined by analyst Pedro Banales, and we are Wealth Within. Good evening, mate.
Good evening. We're really going out with a bang with this one, right?
We are, yes. Last show for the year. It's going to be very exciting. Copper is a sector that is flying right now and could really be a big play into 2026. So let's get straight into it. Now, first up, we have the chart of copper, Pedro. I mean, this is the copper futures price. And what we're seeing right now with copper, it's been really, I want to bring out the monthly chart just to make it easy for everybody here, but this is full view of copper since 2012. And if we zoom out even further, we've seen copper really experience quite a bit of congestion. You know, since 2010, we had a bit of a pullback coming to that level from $4.80 to $5. It's been huge resistance for the best part of 10 years. Now we move into 2025. You can see that even in early 2024, we tried to get through $5 without any consolidation. There was this big uptick in 2025 July. Again, sellers took it away. But what we're seeing different this time is we're starting to have months where we're closing above that $5 region, which we've never seen happen before with copper. And so we've had 3 months of recent times. Back in 2025 March, we had 1 month close, then we failed. We had another month close in 2025 June, then failed. Here we've had 1, 2, now looking like our 3rd month up. So we're definitely looking to somewhat break out of these congestions that we've had. And if that is the case, then expect copper to go for a really decent run. And I'm not even going to get into the fundamental side of things in terms of the application. Now, the whole world is rewiring itself with electrification, EVs, AI, and copper is more in demand than ever. I know you were talking about how the supply side of things is also being impacted right now.
That's right, yeah. So we've had a major mine have an accident, unfortunately, in Indonesia. So they've lowered their production guidance for 2026 as well. We've had a mine shut down, big mine here in Australia. So the supply side is suffering as well. So I'm not surprised why we've had that huge run on copper, and that looks like a beautiful trend at the moment. I'm really liking it. Really, that changed from 2020. So really, this period here, that for me was the real change of direction for copper. You could see it was in a huge bear market here down into 2015, and then we had that bounce there off that $2 level. And
what
now
a technical pattern, right?
It is, isn't it? It's just textbook. Anybody that knows technical analysis, I mean, they would have done so well out of that.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, we've got some amazing stocks to get into in a second, some absolute rippers. But if we just go quickly back to that chart of copper, what I also like now with the way it's unfolding is that, you know, what happened through here, that was really a blip in, I believe if we go to the daily chart, you'll see what I mean by the way it unfolded. In one day, copper basically capitulated and then started to reverse back up. And we are seeing, for me, what's quite interesting is the way we've unfolded out of that and the lack of selling coming through. I mean, we've agreed upon on a new price through this level again, and I'll highlight it at that $5 region. And we've bounced off it quite sharply, moving back up. I do anticipate copper could pull back for a week or two, but as long as it holds $5, that is very promising for this market moving forward. But let's now get to our first pick, which is 29 metals. Now, Pedro, you can take this one away, mate, but it's a producer in copper. It looks very interesting.
It looks very nice, and I think that this is the right time to be looking at this. So let's get into the chart and see what we're seeing. Now, monthly chart, let's start off with that. This is a fairly new stock to the market anyway. 2021, it IPO'd, had a bit of a rise before that dramatic fall right back down to that 10-cent level. So this is what we usually see. And, you know, it's typical of an IPO to just, you know, maybe turn down like that for many years, but eventually if it's a good company, it'll find some support. And this is exactly what 29 Metals has done. You can see that it has bounced nicely of around that level of 20 cents. But there is some resistance coming up, which, I would expect the stock to maybe find a little bit of a halt around, which is that 60 cent level. It's still got a little bit to go, but I wouldn't say that that's the absolute ceiling. Obviously there's going to be resistance levels in multiple places, but it just doesn't mean that you don't trade the stock just because you think it's going to find a reversal.
Well, you said something very important a second ago. You said, if it's a good company, it'll continue to go up. But I mean, and then in the next sentence, you mentioned timing.
Yeah.
And so I find sometimes, when you're looking at trades and, looking at the opportunities they're set up, the timing aspect of it can sometimes be way more important than the first thing you said, because you get the timing right on a good trade opportunity, good risk reward setup, like what we're seeing with this one setting up right now potentially, then, when you do enact on it, eventually through time, you'll find like Zip, for example. During the 2020 COVID period, the company was not making any money, yet there was this huge amount of growth going through there. And if you could get the timing right, you could still walk away very profitable. That's what I'm finding, when people are looking at these kinds of opportunities. Sometimes they're thinking, I'm not so sure about the fundamentals. They're not ready yet. Well, it becomes a $2 stock, and then you find out the fundamentals now all of a sudden look good.
Yes.
Where the best opportunity might be this exact moment that we're looking at it.
Exactly right. And, you can trade on speculation as well. That stocks often rise on that speculative, or it could be that somebody knows something that we don't know yet, but we can tell that on the chart. That's the beauty about technical analysis and being a retail trader, that we can actually see if there's any big buying happening here on the chart. Now, that's a beautiful little V-shaped recovery that we're seeing out of 29M. And I'll just compress that latest move here, because I think that this is the most important thing in this. I mean, you're smiling because you're seeing the same thing that I'm seeing. Really, we've got a little bit of a downward momentum there. I would say that, any little break above there would be nice. Like I mentioned earlier, that 60 cent level is probably a bit of a resistance. So if you're a bit more of a conservative trader, you could wait for a close or a trade above that 60 cent. But boy, is that looking nice. And I'll be keeping a close eye on this one.
Yeah, it really could be a standout performer in 26. To me, the only thing I'll add is, as always, look at the volume. Is there volume activity coming in? And you're finding with this stock, check the volume out from IPO all the way through that down move, and then look when we get to these major turning points for the stock. Huge volume. Second major turning point, the biggest all-time low, the highest volume that's been. I mean, this doesn't happen by accident. You just need to know how to read price action and find these combinations and correlations which are taught. Unfortunately, there's no other way to put it. You don't just wake up one day knowing what works well together. But there are a lot of good things lining up for this stock. As always, if it does flip the script, know when to get out and know when to change your mindset. But definitely one that looks good. Now, if you do want to get into some of the things we mentioned about getting those confluences right, really understanding how price action works and turning it into profitable trades, check this book out, How to Beat the Managed Funds by 20%. It's free. You just have to pay the shipping. The detail is in the comment section below. We've got a lot of it. Make it a Christmas gift for your loved ones. But let's move on to the next stock now, which is Fortescue Metals. Now, this came out with some massive news today relating to the copper space, didn't it?
Sure did, yeah. And I think it's a great move for Fortescue. So Australia's Fortescue says it will buy the rest of Canadian copper miner Alta Copper for about 101 million. Isn't that a bargain? Giving it full control of the company. The deal helps Fortescue push into the copper market as demand grows for the metal, using things like electric cars and green tech.
Yeah, it's a big one. Obviously, we saw with Rio getting into lithium last year, there was a big play. Now we've seen an uptick in lithium. Fortescue's getting into the copper space, which is quite interesting right now. And I mean, the share price is doing some good things.
It is, yeah. It almost makes you think whether there were some people in the know before this, but that's a different story. I mean, Fortescue is always forward-looking. They got into hydro very early in the game, and it might have been a little bit too early to the party, but I think that they've done a great move here with copper because they're just at the right time. On the chart there, it has come to a critical resistance level, though, at around that $22 right now. It's had a beautiful run this year, really from halfway around this year. It bounced off that $14 level. So I would expect maybe a little bit of a pullback. However, in a bullish market, it's not unlike this stock to just keep powering on. I mean, this could just keep going up to that $30 level onto 2026. I would not be surprised about that.
Yeah, and you've got to ask yourself really, like when you look at all the opportunities in the copper space on our market, I mean, you look at Sandfire, that's ridiculously high at all-time highs.
Yeah.
Where is the value? And maybe when you look at a stock like Fortescue, if we go back to what we're seeing here, potentially this one hasn't taken off like some of the others.
Yep.
And therein lies maybe a play for the nifty investor. But look, I'm with you, mate. I think these are the two most important levels, 24 and 14. Once it gets through here, watch how it operates for those, short or medium-term plays. But given what we're seeing right now with the materials sector, it's been the standout performer on the market. It's leading the charge.
Yep.
And we're seeing it come from stocks like BHP, Rio, all of them really. And when you do experience a mining bull run, especially with that particular sector there, you're not going to get you're going to get really volatile moves to the upside. So it's a very important point you made to bear in mind. Hey, if I'm looking to get involved in this price action, do I wait for a pullback all the way to 14? Because it may never happen.
Exactly. Yep. I doubt that it would actually go back down to that $14 level. If anything, it might have a pullback to maybe that $20 level. But I would say that is probably a very strong support level for that next down move. I wouldn't expect it to go down even below that $18, $19 level there. So I think that this is great. FMG is naturally one of the more volatile ones out of Rio and BHP. Rio would probably be the second most volatile I've found. So definitely you could get some big moves from this. And it's a nice, safe stock, great dividends as well, may I add. And at the moment, it's got a great PE ratio as well. So all of those fundamentals are ticking away there, and it's established a nice little momentum to the upside. So I think that this one ticks most of the boxes.
Fantastic. All right, now time for our third stock, which is Aeris Resources Limited. Now let's go to the screen and have a look on that one. This is what you would consider more down at the speculative end, but it is, again, a nice little copper play. I want to zoom in on the weekly chart on this one and show you clearly on the monthly chart we've come off IPO, fallen away to around that 50-cent level where we've been, for the lack of a better word, accumulating for quite a while. But where this stock gets interesting is what's happened in the last couple of years. Now, if I zoom out just a little bit further, I want to show you as volume really started to get involved in this stock. Before that, we saw next to nothing. Big volume coming around the 19th of July. We saw an initial run up on the stock, then it fall away again. And what we're seeing right now with the volume is something that is pricking my ears up. Record volume coming on this recent run up. We came off a nice little set of buys come through there. New base at around 20 cents. Now we've seen sellers try to get involved. And if you just really look at the dynamic for this stock over the last couple of years, where have you seen this? These are the things you look at and you ask yourself, all right, I've seen buys come through, a 200% run up with no sellers, record volume, and now the sellers are coming to get involved over the same time period. And look, they've not even managed to claw back half of the move. So it's really a buyer's market or a bullish market right now with AIS. The only thing is, when you're looking at the opportunity to look at this and say, okay, I'm looking to buy AIS if you were at 50 cents and I expect it to go to $40, which is what a lot of people do think. I've bought it super cheap. I expect it to go back to where it once was. Well, you've got to be realistic on expectations to be safe in the market and plan for the worst. So for me, I think looking at this from a more, given it's been falling for so long, looking at this from the more short to medium term perspective in terms of expectations, and then if it gets to your target levels and exceeds it, beautiful. You've got options, but to plan for huge upside and then be met with resistance and not consider it, that would be dangerous for a stock like this. But for me, I think right now, the way this has unfolded, really strong. If it holds this level, this will be the new base for this stock. If it holds above what it's broken out, that 35 cents, it came back to test it. You can clearly see that's been an important level all throughout this period back to 2022. And it's holding so far on that record volume. So I think this one's due to go for another little run to around that 80-cent level, which does provide opportunity. Don't let your eyes trick you in terms of thinking there's not much there, but there's quite a really nice run up, around 50% just to that high through there. And take it in stages, Once you get through there, if it can get through 70, 80 cents, then look for the next opportunity. But I think short to medium term, as we see this year out, and on the back of copper doing what it's doing right now, yeah, this looks interesting.
Yeah, look, I like that. You've got me riled up already, Phil. I do quite like this stock. And I'll just finish off by saying that, you mentioned that we could have, a potential opportunity here, and we do have that resistance level up ahead. And I think that's a great point that you made, that we can get to that level, but it doesn't mean that we're going to completely stop. You could actually just, let it go, let your profits run, and cut your losses short. And what I like about this stock is that even though it's quite speculative, it does provide some nice momentum. So we've got a nice momentum there that you could have used to exit the stock. And we've got a nice little momentum there as well. So you can just ride that whole trend up and eke out a nice profit from there. So if this does establish possibly a new, momentum, and I'm just going to, just put a rough momentum there, you could use the same basis and, just let it run. Just because it hits this level, yep, it could meet some short-term resistance. If you're more of a short-term trader, you might, choose if you get an exit rule around there. But, you could actually hold this for the medium to long term as well. And I think it's got huge potential. Yeah,
look, we're just scratching the surface in terms of how to play these opportunities. I think that's the real key in terms of what you're talking about for 2026, knowing not just what to buy, but what to sell. And we've got all the tools here for you. So go and check that website out, Wealth Within, to learn how to do those things right so you can profit from the markets. But if you do want more hot stock tips, check out our video. This sector will outperform AI in 2026. 3 ASX stocks to buy now.